almost visit almost every year. I don't know why. What happened in Australia? What happened? Yeah, I mean, I already told you like mostly like over 20 students every year is our program, but this year is zero. So
It's my first time here.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm a new student here.
sorry.
I'm just new. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. People.
Like 4 days ago, I went to some place. I like the food, I like the views. It's hard.
It's a hard game.
It's hard for the moment. Good man. Makes friends.
No sweet, yeah.
No sweet. We will start in 10 a.m. right? 10.
Yeah.
이거 사람 추락하는 건데.
지금 나와가지고.
안 쫓아오나?
트랩을 지금 안 하고 있어.
여기다 해.
됐어. 지금.
그러니까 꺼내면 바로 연결이 되는지.
그럼 두 가지 다 돼 있어.
야, 그리고 그 위에 보니까 이거 화각 넓히는 렌즈 같은 거 있거든? 그거 막 캐비넷에 막 굴러다니는데
네.
잘 보관해. 이거 한 7만 원이야 이거 렌즈 하나.
알겠습니다.
So we will start it, right? 한주쌤 거기 문 좀 닫아주시겠어요? 올 사람 다 왔죠? 지금 체크한 거 보니까. 올 사람 다 왔죠? 올 사람 다 왔죠? 문 좀 다 닫아주시겠어요?
Yes.
You also met in Shanghai? Okay, from KU. Okay, guys, sit. We will start. Could you hand off? Sunga, is it yours? Okay, right. Hello, everyone. Welcome 2025, the AA Visiting School Seoul. And then welcome again. My name is Daesung Lee. I'm an architect. I'm also installation artist. I'm currently teaching at the Yonsei University. I'm quite interested in immersion kind of system on material science, etc. And that's it. And could you introduce yourself, Jay?
Yes, I'm Jay Won Lee, and I'm an architect as well, and I'm practicing at the university as well as a resident professor. And I'm quite interested in how the social issues and interacting with the spatial condition. So I think it's quite different from me. Yeah.
So we are the co-director of this program.
Yes. Welcome to come to Seoul, AAVS Seoul this time.
And this is a brief schedule of today. So before we have a lunch break, I will do some introduce one sort of meeting and then also do explanation of the program. Then after that, we will start today's presentation. So based on the unit presentation, we will ask you to choose the most wanted video, which is last minute. It's a very, very important thing. Please be careful to listen to their presentation. Then we will have after the lunch, we'll have a quick interview with your choice, your collaborator. And according to the unit viewers, we will allocate your edit. Okay, that's it. And if you know the
In private educational, the school. As I know, as I remember, I'm right or I don't know, I'm not sure about, but AA school established is like 1847, and then they are against like a quite banal in old type of educational system. So the AA education is quite like a design vanguard kind of, they have those kind of spread in the learning the school. So pretty much we follow that spread, and then this AA visiting school is exactly mimic of those kind of like a unit system or educational system. Then the visiting school it's been done like over 20 years. It happened all around continental, for example, Asia and Middle East and Europe. And also it happened all through the year from January to December. So if you interesting to visit different continent, or if you have a spare time during the whole year, you can choose the all different program, right? Yeah, this is advertisement for the school, So it happens Shanghai and Jordan, and then sometimes some unit or program will disappear and then popping up in every new the new program in every year. So you can check the AA website, right? So for instance, like a third one is happened 2 years ago in Alpes in Switzerland. Is the program only running by 1 year. And another last one is happened in Havana in Cuba. So if you want to visit that place, you can apply to this program, right? Yeah, and then little bit, introduce about our history. 12 years ago, we'll start in the winter program. But at times, it's always really, really cold. It's quite in contradiction compared to the summer season. Summer is really hot and humid, and then winter is really cold and dry. But the problem is the winter time is very, very difficult to mingle around actual city. So we changed to a summer program. And then another brief history about the Social Algorithm Research Group. Basically, AAVS Seoul is run by the SARG Research Group. This research group is basically start from the two key persons. So one is from Yonsei University, Professor Ju Eun-sung. Could you show yourself? So another part is from algorithm part, is from Soo-min Ham. Dr. Soo-min Ham currently teaching at the SCIAC and USC in California. So unfortunately, she's not in today, but maybe she's quite well known for the XR, AR design and architectural field. Then the two groups. So left side is social part. So Ju Eun-sung, she is head of this part, and Jin-seok Park, Professor Jin-seok Park also this part. And where's Jaewon? Yeah, he's the social side, not the dark side, it's good side, but social side. And then Chesun Ah, she also like a social agenda part. And the other side, computational part, is architect Han Jun Kim. And then I already told you Soo-min Ham, and then by myself. And then Soo-min Ham and Han Jun Kim from DRL, and they are highly influenced by Zaha Hadid, right? Yep, that's it. Then we've been like a two-phase over the 12 years. Is before the 2020, is just before the pandemic area, right? So we learned the program as a general theme. After the pandemic, and then we set up the specific theme of every year, especially focus on the city of the Seoul. So after 2020, 21, we deal with the mutation and then evolution, and then this year is compressed city, right? Am I right, Jay? Compressed city, Seoul, right? Okay. So there's a few key moments of our 10 years program. So he is Christopher Pierce. He is the head of this whole program in AA. And then you can find the younger version of me. It's another younger version of Jay, right? And then not also another younger version of a tutor is Jae-hyuk Go. He used to be our student, and then he became a really, good architect. So he became one of our tutors. So maybe you might have a chance to be a tutor on our program later. Okay. So we highly recommend, make friends with your unit, friends, and then please visit all around the Seoul, right? So visit the, like busy area or, historical place. I'm highly recommend it. Then we also produce like a crazy works in every year, like this. So, don't care about the existing way of design. Just try to do something new one. So we highly recommend that kind of spread, right? Like that. And then, as you know, we also have a midterm jury and final critics. So we might ask you to present those huge things. So please, I don't know, but sometimes a jaw-dropping presentation will be great. I highly recommend those kind of, attitude. So like that. Yeah, definitely this is a very short-term workshop, so it's really intensive. So these things normally happen. But after that, everyone really loves it, like this. And then we have a very signature the end up for the farewell barbecue party. So do you know the keynote lecture from Junaoki? Then we visit the Korean barbecue place, and then we're gonna have heavy drink sessions. So you might forget everything about last 10 days, and then you newly start and the very next day, right? Okay, so Jay, could you introduce this year theme?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Right. I and Daesung started our program
It's yours?
from 3 years ago. This right changes our things from that time. So this year our team is compressed city Seoul. So Seoul has been operating. So AAVS Seoul has been operating workshop series, reassessing and developing topic of social algorithm through the evolutionary trends of the past 2 years. So mainly focusing on evolutionary theories. So in 2023, the concept of phenotype and genotypes was translated into architectural terms and experimented with related methodology. So those are results from 4 different units. And last year, and based on that interpretation, we had 3 different units. And we discovered and investigated the evolution of the Seoul as a city in 2024. So each unit investigated, proposed, rediscovered, reused material, and also idiosyncratic construction phenomenon deprived of the social condition in Seoul, and the rule set and system controlling and enforcing operating urban spaces, also urban structure interpreting grounds by speculating beyond perspectives. So these 3 different units operated last year. So from that, we had a common ground, and that Seoul has been quite changing. Also, some Seoul have some compressed history. We have it. So that's the common sense we end up so far as our point of view. So in that sense, we anchored in common sense. We deal with the compressed city Seoul in this time, because some might know, and Seoul has a long history since 500 years ago. So from Seoul has been changed from medieval to post-modern city in a short period of the 100 years. So even we can see many different kind of historical area, architecture, and remains in the city. So this compressed transformation reveals heterogeneous and dialectic urban spaces, architecture, social system, unlike European city, gradually evolve. So Seoul evolved very short time. So you can say everything at the same time, not really planned. So everything accumulated together. I think that's quite interesting things to look at Seoul as an architect point of view, and I think we need better to celebrate that thing rather than just erase, to change everything at the same time. So these characteristics are most pronounced in the older district northern of the Han River, but at the same time, they reversed conditions in Seoul as a whole. And we found that thing is Gangnam as well. So Gangnam has developed since 1980s, but Gangnam has been transformed for 30 years. So if you see the big blocks, and each block's area has been changed indifferently. So we think urban spaces, architectural form, typology, material, and social system has reached their current state through the process of transformation, variation, decline, and mutation, and this evolution are still in progress. So as such, heterogeneity and diversity, which are not easy to judge in binary terms of good or bad, brought about the speciality of the Seoul. But we are thinking Seoul is losing this speciality because Seoul has been changing, especially since 10 or 20 years ago, to redevelop all kind of area with a very shining building. So if that side of the Seoul is a Kumho area, so we are now kind of losing everything. That area has been changing apartment building. Of course, some says that kind of development needs to be done to achieve numbers of the housing and some quality of the spaces. But at the other ends, we are losing some quality of the Seoul itself. So in that kind of background, and each unit, in my opinion, each unit developed and each unit suggests their own themes. Unit 1, 2, 3, 4, they are present today. So I think each unit will address this topic and question through their lens. I think Unit 1 may be sensory perception, and Unit 2, situation and typology, and Unit 3, material and technology, and Unit 4, ritual and spatial conditions. So maybe that's our interpretation, our suggestion. So based on that, maybe each unit will present their own way, own methodology, and their point of view about the Seoul and in these workshops. And also, we prepared 3 different keynote lectures, and we in this time we take a time to make a good speakers. Firstly, we wanted to have our AAVS school as a kind of platform for the young architects' voices. So we invited Saul Kim. He's one of the young architect and uprising architect in Seoul. And also we have another lecture called Everyday Labs, and they are Norwegian architect. So they came to Seoul to maybe give a lecture about their kind of urban engagement project. And so last lecture will be spoken by the Jun Aoki, Professor Jun Aoki. Actually, thanks to Professor Tamao Hashimoto, we invite Jun Aoki. So Jun Aoki will have I think, lecture called Urban Acupunctures. So we really look forward to hearing that. And also, we are having that lecture in a very big room. And then, so we open up our event website. So far, we got a 200 over registration done. So I think it will be really nice chance to have a good lecture, and then Jun Aoki will come to our final review to give us feedback. So this is schedules, and actually the first day is really busy. So we do introduction until 1 o'clock, and then by having lunch, I mean, you guys will select your unit choice, 1, 2, 3 choice. After that, we have a unit interview, and then we are starting the unit program from 3 o'clock. And except for the keynote lectures, 3 keynote lectures, and then midterm CRIC and final CRIC, except for that, all days is kind of depending on the unit program. So you know, we are here. So mainly some events all the time happening here, and then your working space is 6 floors in this area mainly. And the final keynote lecture will be held a lecture hall in the biggest area in Yonsei University. Yeah. So we'll have a YouTube live and then YouTube search as well. So we're updating our lecture, everything on the YouTube. Even you guys can see the last year's lecture or introduction, whatever, from the YouTube. So we are having unit selection by taking interview because it's kind of long history of AA. So we had this photo maybe taken by maybe Daesung, right? It happened 2003 or 5, this one. Yeah.
This was very first day of academic.
Yeah. So unit tutors presenting their brief and agenda, and at the time we are waiting for the outside to get the first, how can I say, choice, right?
This is waiting for the interview list.
Yeah.
So that's basically first come, first serve. So very competitive. You must wait for the was outside school from 5 a.m.
I think good thing to take an interview is the time to look back my portfolio and then my thought and then what I really like. So I need to make a speech with to the tutors why I am attending this unit, etc. So that I think chance made me quite clear what I really want to do. So we are not doing like seriously like that, but we are kind of doing similar things to understand each unit's brief and then what I really want to do for 10 days. Yeah, so we are doing that. And the Wi-Fi is up. You can use this Wi-Fi. And say open. Yes, thank you very much. And also, sorry. Also, for lastly, this is the Google spreadsheet, right? For the first your choice of the unit. So after you listen our presentation of today, and then you enter these pages, and then you put the 3 different options, first and second, third choices, and then we are kind of arranging your orders of the interviews today. And after lunch, we are starting the interview in the 6 floors. Okay, thank you very much.
12:30.
Shall we start?
Yeah, or yours.
Okay. Ah, cool. Do you have one more? Ah, okay. 좋아. Hello, guys. I'm Tamao Hashimoto, and Sano Satoshi. We are both an architect and educator, and he's like kind of the Kengokuma's golden boy.
Bronze boy.
Sorry, bronze boy. I'm not there. Nobody knows me. But anyway, so we since last year we are trying to continue to focus on the upper perspective. So that's why we point out upper perspective 2. So what does mean upper? Before that, we would like to talk about the perspective. You know, literally speaking, as you of course know, like a storyboard, a visuality or sight or optical or view on the eyes. And then if we check the history, Euclid started to talk about optics, and then that is becoming form like kind of a line of the sight. That is still ongoing. And after that, what is Alberti, the visual pyramid and the framing. The kind of notion of the framing is still, we are using that same concept. And also, as you of course know, that Descartes' sensory hierarchy. So around that time, optics is highest of that 5 senses. And there are lots of the drawings influenced by that kind of notion. And also, of course, not only for the drawings, that the real actual space is actually influenced by that framing and also sensory hierarchy. If you see the Villa Savoye and the Corbusier or Mies van der Rohe, it's still keeping that one. And of course, sometimes some architects try to deconstruct some kind of hierarchy or framing. Like Piero della Francesca, quite weird perspective. Or left top, Alexander Peter Smithson. All the lines of the perspectives that overlap the human figure, etc. And quite recently, the scholar started to criticize that there is a kind of substance dualism. So substance dualism, in that case, some kind of there is always objectification and the subject. So there's dual aspect. So then he started to point out there is kind of oculocentrism. So always we are talking about optics. Then criticize the dualism between the culture and nature. So nature is becoming just picturesque image. So then we lots of fields try to discuss about how to get a sensory experience. And then as a present studies, mainly phenomenology and psychology is a main role for getting the sensory experience. But the problem is that both is quite subjective. So kind of the subjective experience are becoming universal. So how to avoid that way is a very important point. And then Sarah Pink and some guys, anthropologists, talk about multisensory, especially like the walking as a multisensory everyday life practice. So that is why even in Japan, maybe in many cities, like a walkable, how to catch the experience by the walking is very important for the city phenomena. But then, how to catch the actuality of the multisensory? Quickly show the way of the mapping. Mapping, in this case, like I try to focus on trajectory of the movement. From the starting point of the 1928, Alexander Klein. Since then, maybe even the trajectory of the movement is like represent the city structure or social structure. Or very famous one, Donald Rapley at the left side. Even that the thickness of the trajectory of the lines show the relationship between the territory of the neighborhood and the traffic jam. And also, of course, Kevin Lynch, that kind of image, how to catch the image of the city. Or like a time geography, tried how to describe the time and space. So lots of approaches crossing the scale and human scale to the urban scale, try to catch the real condition of the city. But what the most important point is how to catch the lived space. It's really difficult to catch and understand, and how to construct and reconstruct. Because the lived space sometimes is quite subtle, with some kind of mechanism or rule of the mapping. There might be 2 points, analog and abstraction. In that case, analog is a very specific map, where we are standing up, where we are. Very specifically, we have to think about that. But another way is abstraction. That's just impression. Whenever we feel there's a comfortable, there's really nice, it's really difficult to describe, really difficult to specialize. So that both ways are quite important to us. It might be like a guide. So as a phase 1, our unit from the first 3 days, we really push the student to go out and then try to catch kind of the sensory activities or phenomena, even from each student viewpoint. It's kind of the social aspect. And last year, this year not Uruchiro, but last year we focused on the Uruchiro development area, and quickly show what we did last year.
So these photos shows some moment of the activities of our unit last year. But the point is, do not to simplify things, but we asked the participant to correct everything っていうか、show what you felt, not only the things you can see, but the things you felt in the urban space. And then, for instance, this work is the final outcome of one group, and they tried to find the connection between the 2 or 3 spots which has a certain distance. So maybe the connection is not the direct connection or the visual connections, but some kind of connections they trying to find and try to map on the 3D models. And this drawing shows, this is another outcome of the students, and they are trying to capture the smells or the kind of the flow of the atmosphere in the urban space and try to kind of map intersectional drawings. And this one is this group of team is trying to classify the emotional things, the kind of subjective emotional when they work in the urban space, and trying to visualize in a 3-dimensional way. And this one is the final drawings of one team. But they focused or they found something, again, emotional things in these kind of staircases or the flow of the people. And this is the final design of that group. Oh, that's the end. Do you want to add something?
Yeah. And then this year is our site, our unit site is this circle by the 1 kilometer radius of the entrance at this university. Because we are wondering about maybe that maybe everywhere, educational space sometimes detaching of that site context. And there must be some kind of the compressed situation or kind of mixture of the commercial or culture or like, more educational, etc., even some kind of lives of the student. So it's good maybe size of the scale. But we are not saying that you guys should walking around endlessly. Even that tiny space or human scale, like Yves Thuan said at Topophilia, there's always kind of familiar or loving place for each persons. Or like Alexander Peter Smithson focus on like a doorstep and the way out. There is kind of hidden but dynamic condition that like a kids playing that's really difficult to even find or catch. Or like Ardoin Ike, what kind of the situations around the in-between threshold that must be some unexpected or not schematic like kind of conditions over there. And the circle ways are good if you focus on the perimeter. This is an extreme example. Is Edward Soja drawn like a 60 miles radius of the Los Angeles. Then after make a circle, we can see that there is military facilities very carefully layouted on that. So that kind of the peripheral condition and the central condition. In this case, central condition is the Yonsei University. But there is some kind of the contradiction or something. Well, like Richard Long, 7 days, or almost like the same period. He just walking around 5 miles and just plotting the midday to try to put on the feeling on that area. Even that kind of the subjective ways we are welcome to see. But after the phase 2, maybe to the mid-jury, try to focus on more like a physical way. So in that case, what après means, we cannot speak French, but après means kind of after. The after is a famous word, is après cubism, that is statical for the modernism. So the before, after the cubism, try to set up the purism. So that après is quite important word. The après means before and after, how to go back and go to forward. The recently après la finitude is by the speculative realism. So that's kind of the which we want you guys to imply what that's after means, how to change the existing condition, what kind of the condition the before. And the last one, to try to reconstitute or reconfigure that kind of the sensory activities and the physical the phenomena and the matters and the component. And then, like this Duchamp's door, maybe you guys can find kind of contradiction or quite weird conditions there. That is our like a unit introduction. And then after that, briefly, we would like to show our like a self-introduction. My case is I'm always using kind of choreography and the notation by the criticizing the precedent approaches, like a labor notation and the Warhol's dance diagram. And put on the many the cities for the especially redevelopment area, how the local people catch the impression, or what kind of people the fixed circulation is there, with the many ways of the sketching and the drawing, and the crossing the scale, try to find like a personalized space or try to find the boundary itself. But that is some kind of the description of the city. And then put on that kind of the urban description to the small scale for the design approach, to like a small garden design for the old ladies' routine. Or while using the time geography, try to set up the renovation of the small house, or how to represent existing pattern to the new residential design. That one I got a small residential prize that but jury was Jun Aoki, so that's why I could contact and invite him. And now I'm trying to put on more little bit big scale for this. This is a dental practice with Tetsuo Nishizawa is from the Jun Aoki's office. We had co-designing. While drawing a lot, endlessly lots of the trajectory of the circulation, how to deform kind of the conventional pattern. Because the dental practice completely fixed the medical circulation, so try to put on that one. To Sano-san.
So I'm going to show some pictures of the architecture I've designed so far, and actually I have two personalities. The one is the practicing architect, and another one is academic researcher, educator, and you know. Unfortunately, for sometimes or in many cases for architects, it's really difficult to design sensory things, even though our unit is focusing on those kind of things. And the shape of space that we architects design those kind of things, walls, roofs, floors, but actually we wanted to design the space which is not the physical element like walls or the floors. But again, unfortunately, we need to design the shape of the space. So, but the focus is, as I said, the space, not the physical elements. In order to do that, 違うわ。で、in order to create lived space, as Tamao-san said, like, so this is kind of before the composition photographs of the architecture, and this is the photo maybe 5 years later. We always, or I always try to create the space for people, and that is can be called lived space. In order to kind of afford or help people to live, as an architect, what I'm concerned about is one is the material of the space. That means a lot. For instance, this one is made of concrete, wood, stones. And this one is made of metal and wood. And this one is made of soil. And another thing is color and space. When I was a student, I wasn't the teachers or mentors didn't teach me about colors. Like they teach me about how to design the interesting shape or the history of architecture, but rarely mention about color. But actually, color means a lot. And this is something we can see, but at the same time, from the color, we felt something that can lead us to feel the space differently. Color, ne? I'm on project-based. I'm kind of experimenting the effect of colors. And the color is actually very powerful. Like it's a very powerful tool to involve the people or the help people to be connected to the space. And light is important. This is very classical thing, light and shadow in architecture, but I always try not to forget about the phenomena or the effect of light. And the light is really connected to the human activities in the space. Right. はい。で、最後に、ちょっと音が大きいかな。あ、出ないですね。And lastly, I'm showing the video of the examples of lived space. This is a apartment complex I've designed, and what I do is to create semi-exterior space around the residential units. The initial intention is to provide residents not only the interior space but also the exterior spaces which they can use on a daily basis. But after the completion, maybe after 2 or 3 years, one resident starts to invite locals to the space, and gradually on the weekend, the residents and locals start to use this space as for various activities like selling goods or just to have a communication, and that was not expected. The architects, the planner doesn't expect that kind of activities. So sometimes the way people use the space is beyond beyond the planner's expectation, and that is kind of the before-after thing and lived space. And the lived space is different from the physical morphosis. The space is not just determined by the walls or ceilings, but the human activities or the small things people are bringing in. This is one of the examples of the lived space.
I hope that Sano-san's case is you guys catch the really good example of the configuration of the specialized threshold in between. It's really, really nice works. That's it.
Thank you.
No.
Unit 2. I'm Jae Cohen. She's Hee-Jun Lee. And we used to run the studio from 2021 to 2023. And we came back this year. Oh. PC 됐다.
저는 북한 공산 세력의
Sorry for the
친애하는 국민 여러분, 저는 북한 공산 세력의 위협으로부터 자유 대한민국을 수호하고 우리 국민의 자유와 행복을 약탈하고 있는 파렴치한 종북 반국가 세력들을 일거에 척결하고 자유 헌정 질서를 지키기 위해 비상 개혁을 선포합니다.
and
친애한
on December 3rd last year, the martial law was declared, and the former president who enacted the measure was impeached in April this year, and the new president was elected last month, right? And this is the photo of the day. And while Gwanghwamun Square and the National Assembly, Yeouido Square, remain the regular protest site, but the locations such as Hannam-dong, which was the house of the president, and the street in front of the constitutional court have been added for the new protest map. Now, alongside the time tested protest tools, including like candles, an American flag and Korean flag, speakers and vehicle, plastic chairs, like picket signs and all the like these kind of flags. But some participants carries like K-pop light stick or like blanket for the insulations, like those are added. Even like Israel flags and citizen designed flag have been also made appearance. Like these additions, both symbolic and functional, have substantially altered the visual and spatial landscape of the Seoul. Unit 2 will document these tools and media and spaces involving the events related to the martial law. From late 2024 to the present now, the documentation will be based on the verifiable facts and avoid ideological interpretation or personal claims. Like from road to sidewalk, and the bedrooms and living rooms, and from plaza to park. From the small scales to the like urban structure, every act of architecture, regardless of its scale and function, involve a political act. We live in this city like unconsciously and effortlessly following these vast and rigid rules. But this time, through these series of events, we've witnessed and experienced the process by which these rules were nullified, redefined, and repoliticized. In this process, where the city and space and architecture are being deconstructed and newly defined, tools have emerged. These tools went beyond their functions and their like basic rules, and they transform the city and redefine the spaces and serve as new architectural device and also the political instruments. This year, Unit 2 will collect these tools and will redefine these tools and examine how they have changed the city. Not just the space itself, and also as a like political ways. And furthermore, we'll also think about the link between architecture and politics.
So obviously schedule for our unit will be pretty much the same as other units. One thing I have to point out is that for the field trip on next week, Wednesday, it's our tradition for Unit 2 to visit some of the offices based in Seoul. So in 2021, it was a COVID era, so we were not able to visit any, but for the next 2 years, we visited 2 offices respectively. On 2022, we went to AOA Architects, 서재원 소장님, and Kim Hyo-young Architects. And next year, in 2023, we went to WGMB, and COM, which are two interior offices. This year we are reaching out to offices that we want to visit. It's not yet determined, but we will see how it goes. And from 2021 to 2023, yeah, we have been running the units under the theme of Get a Room. We have been focusing on the form and composition of spaces through different lenses. On the first year, we studied references, like historical references. Second year, we studied spaces in films. Third year, we studied spaces in the novel. And you'll be able to see the things that we have done on Instagram. There's an Instagram link for our unit, and through the link, you'll also be able to know who we are and what we have been doing as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have more question, and after the introduction, you will get the chance to ask things in by person.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can do this. Okay. Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Alessandro Dell'Endice. I'm a senior researcher at the Block Research Group, and together with Petras, the Startas, is a postdoc at the Block Research Group as well. we are going to present let's say, Unit 3, so what we are proposing for this unit. And I will start first introducing a little bit the work that we do at the Block Research Group, and then slowly we go towards the topic of the unit, and Petras will explain more in detail the program of these 10 days, what we are going to do together. So the Block Research Group is the, if it goes to the next. Okay, yeah. Is the chair of architecture and structure at DTH Zurich. And we focus on the topics that you see over there, like assessment and design of masonry structure, which is, I would say, the main topic of our research. But when we work on that topic, we touch other topics that are really important for us, like graphic statics, form finding, and computational structural design. So in this unit, we are going to touch a little bit all of them through the computational tools that we developed at the Block Research Group, through the Compass infrastructure. Maybe you have heard about it. And I will explain in a bit the connection between the topic of this AA visiting school. So a very important concept for us is the concept of strength through geometry. So when we talk about this, we have to make a connection between what we do today and what was done in the past by master builders. So in the past, they were able to build such beautiful structures because actually they knew the relationship between geometry and equilibrium. And even though they use like a humble material like stone or wood, they were able to design something like this, which is still standing. And what is really fascinating about these structures is that what is really important is actually the shape of what we do and not the material itself. So if we shape it a structure in a certain way, we don't care much about the material. And this was very known in the past when they were, especially during the Gothic times, for example. So at the Block Research Group, what we try to do, we try to learn from the past. So we try to learn from this kind of forgotten knowledge. And we mix this knowledge together with computational power. And when we do that, so when we combine these two together, we have a lot of freedom that we can use in our design and especially in structural design. So we try to combine architecture and structure together. And this is a slide that shows, for example, some of the infinite possibilities that you actually have as a structural designer when you combine structural knowledge and also this knowledge which is coming from the past, as I said earlier. So by combining these topics together, during the 15 years of history of the Block Research Group, we worked on, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong. Okay. Okay. So, sorry, I'm making some mess with my laptop there. So I was saying, so you have infinite possibilities in making your design there, and not only working with compression-only structure as you usually see in these historic churches or masonry buildings, but for example, you have full control in what is happening in your structure in terms of forces. So here, this is like a compressed structure, but there is this red line around, which is actually a tension ring. And this is not just, let's say, a theory thing, but you can build a model like that, and then you can, there is a short video, you can see what happens. So if you cut that tension ring, which is keeping everything in equilibrium, your structure collapses. So this shows you the control that you have on forces and how you shape your structure based on that. So with all these, let's say, tools and knowledge, in the last 15 years, we built a few demonstrators which were like a big statement showing that actually these tools are not just, you know, like a game or like a physics engine that you run on your laptop, but it's actually something that works. You can build this in reality. And here, this is the Armadillo Vault. I mean, I will explain these structures and all the project a little bit further in the afternoon at the beginning of the unit. But in this case, we are talking about 399 pieces of limestones that are together without any mortar, without any mechanical connections, just because of the right geometry. And we are talking about a proportion which is like smaller than the proportion between the span and the thickness of a eggshell. This is another picture of the project. So this is in the Arsenale in Venice. This was the Biennale 2016. Another project we worked on is the ILO roof. So it's a really thin membrane made out of concrete. This is a prototype. It's a one-to-one prototype that we built in our laboratory in Zurich. And you see here some images of the fabrication of this. This is the Knit Candela. So it's another structure where we mix all these, let's say, computational tools with a new way of fabricating. Like this, in this case, you have like a knitted fabric, which was used as a formwork for the concrete, which is on the outside, that you maybe can see here, all the way to the bridges that we built in the last years. This is the Striatus Bridge in collaboration with Zadid Architects. This was during the Biennale in 2021. And we built also another one, which is a more, let's say, it's a permanent structure following the same logic. So masonry principles, dry assembled structure, and all the stuff that get triggered by that, like circularity. You can recycle these components, you can replace them, you have a clear separation between materials, between concrete and steel, so it's easy to recycle and so on. And we are now also, let's say, bringing all of this to industry through a spin-off called Vaulted, where we are commercializing like a slab following the same principles. So the same historical principles combined with, for example, material like reinforced concrete. So there is no steel inside the elements. So what's the connection between all of this and let's say the topic of the AA visiting school? So we wanted to actually trigger this, you know, reassessing or re-evaluating historical part of the city using architecture and a certain type of architecture to, let's say, trigger this reaction by, let's say, the people that maybe they want to visit certain area because of maybe a nice piece of architecture which is also connected to the past and to the history of the city. So this picture here is showing the Striatus Bridge on the left, so 2021, and the very old bridge on the left side. So you can think that these two are completely different between each other because one is 3D printed and the other one is actually made out of stones. But these two, they actually work exactly in the same way. So from a structural point of view, we have an arch bridge, dry assembled in both cases, so there is nothing different between the two. So we believe in this connection between the past, we believe in these structural principles that we can use, and also in have a, like kind of a delicate touch on the old city just with some pieces of architecture without entirely changing with maybe new reinforced concrete buildings or new, let's say, way of building. So what we are going to do in our unit, and then now Patras will explain you a little bit more in detail. So we selected, I mean, we didn't, but we got suggestion where we could actually work in the city of Seoul. So we identified some areas where you can actually propose a design which can be done in different material. For example, we learned that in some of the markets is like a very common, like selling fabric, for example. So you can maybe think, okay, we would like to design the roof or new roof of the market using fabric, for example, or something local. So we identified this area where you could design a bridge, you can design a cover of one of the historical markets in Seoul, and test out all the tools that we have to form find compression only, tensile structure, or even a mixed compression and tension design for that. So I will leave it to Patras. Maybe you need this, yes.
Hey, I'm going to present what we're going to do essentially for 2 weeks. And before getting into these PowerPoint presentations, I think that the key goal is that you need to learn something out of that. I mean, that's a bare minimum. So the way we try to construct this whole presentation is that after you leave, you get something out of this, because we are not naive that in 2 weeks you cannot build structures that needs funding that were shown before, but you can learn a few tools that we use at Block Research Group, and then you might use for your studies or for maybe projects. So we just want to give you some insights and some tools that we have. So in total, we have those 8 days, and 8 days are short, and how we construct it is that from morning till like lunch, you're going to have tutorials. Like we're going to give like tutorials every single day, and from lunch till evening, 5 or 6, we don't stay late, but it will be your own personal work, which will be with the help of you. So lectures and then practical work. Like two blocks based simply on the time. So in the first day, today is going to be intro, presentations, and software installation, essentially. Then on the day 2, tomorrow and the day after, we are going to make physical models, and we made a small challenge for us, because normally we try to 3D print some models and do something that was really planned before. But usually how it worked, that we kind of make a structure and students just build. So it has no really big meaning. So in this case, it will be vice versa. You're going to make your own physical models and you're going to make them. And we are going to do it by very old technique that I thought it's going to be very easy to do, but it's not. It's by famous Swiss concrete engineer Heinz Isler, who is famous for building concrete shells. And he was using very rudimentary, simple systems that Dr. Julia Boller is going to have a lecture tomorrow to explain how this whole process worked and how physical models help to scale up from a scale like this to a span of 20, 30 meters structures. So it's not only about shaping or making like shapes or geometries, it's how it was used for structural reasons. So day 2 and day 3, we're going to have physical models, and I'm going to explain what those models looks like. Then day 4 and day 5 is going to be about Rhino plugins, so not really computationally intensive. It's like really well optimized during many years, many workshops. We have 2 plugins called Rhino Vault and Form Finder. And then on the last few days, you're going to have an introduction to very, very basic Python scripting, but like super basic. We are not going to go into depths, but I need to explain what is happening inside those Rhino plugins in a most basic sense. And you'll have tutorials in Python and a few tutorials how to discretize shell structures. And then, as we all know, that after day 5 you have a mid crit, and after the day 8 you have the final crit, as all units have. So today we are going to install Compass tools, and you need to use Rhino 8. So if you don't have Rhino installed, you can have a just trial version just for this workshop. What we are going to teach are essentially these two tools, RhinoVault, that was done or used for projects like Stratus Bridge, or FormFinder that was done in Nestilla project. And deliverables are those, like the bare minimum that you need to do. You need to essentially do 2 posters. One poster is going to be for compression systems, and another one's for tension or combined systems. We prepared you a template, but this template needs to be replaced by your own like studies. But essentially, all students must follow kind of a template that will be presented at the last of the days. And in these posters, you will have areas where you don't have just a geometry spit out from these solvers. You need to really adapt to the context you are building on, because these tools essentially are form-finding tools, but they don't give any information about materialization, how they need to be built. And this is something that you need to develop on your own. So these are the sites that Alessandro showed. Essentially what we're aiming at is a pedestrian small-scale bridge that you can control using those tools, and then a cover elements for the markets, essentially. So 2 tools, like one is for the bridge, and another one for small-scale roof systems, like covering those market spaces. Yeah, and sometimes you even see these strange topologies when you have almost like a bridge system that has also a cover. So, so how you design these systems needs to be a bit on your own. What we are going to do tomorrow, we're going to take these Isler shells or Isler methods. It's very simple how they are made, but you have to be careful because they work in certain ways, and we'll explain how we're going to do. We essentially have brought material that is essentially a balloon material that can be stretched once you pour gypsum inside. Essentially, form finding happens in real life, and we are going to demonstrate that what you form find in real life is actually very close to what you get in computer. And then we also have these tension-based systems. And why we are going to show this, because this is not some sort of exercise for the sake of exercise. This was really done by engineers a long time ago, and they were really trying to do form finding. They were like drawing by pencil, trying to measure how geometry changes, and then also trying to understand what are the forces those systems can take. And these systems were brought from these kind of small scale models to really constructed shell systems. And if you would visit Switzerland, there are hundreds of these shells standing in the country, and you can just have a tour around the country just to visit these shells. And these were really pioneers because nobody else were building these systems because of the complexity on its own. And tomorrow there is an online lecture by Julia, who is going to explain in detail about Heinz Isler and his work. And there's the whole archive in ETH that showed all these models and all the studies that he did. It's actually not straightforward as you might think. And he, I think even Heinz Sisler was once confronted by AA students or other school that were trying to do similar studies, and he replied to them saying that I want to distinct myself from what AA is doing because we are not doing shapes. We're really trying to study how the system structurally works. And this is a bit different field. From day 4 to day 5, we're going to first teach Rhinovault as one-day subject. And then on the day 5, we're going to teach the Form Finder as 2 separate tools. And these are a few screenshots. We're going to work in Rhino environments. And we are going to explain how the toolbar works. So really basic, you don't really need to have any skills, but we hope at the end of those weeks you will learn how to use these tools. Then days 6, 7, and 8 is going to introduce a topic of scripting, and we are going to take a study case of discretized shells. We're not going to build the discretized shells because it involves like 3D printing, all the preparations. But I'm quite sure that after those 3 days, you will be able to do it on your own, created geometry rather than what we designed, let's say, 1 month ago. So that's a bit different. We're going to start from really basic stuff, introducing how we can create a box, sphere, point a line using a Python code, add some meshes, then how we are going to for instance, apply a pattern to mesh structure, or finally how we can take a 2D pattern, how we can apply it to a mesh, and how we can discretize the mesh into individual blocks that can be later maybe cut or fabricated in some sort of fabrication technique that requires much more planning and so on. And finally, on the last day, I'm going to show how to nest those geometries on 2D patterns, and we will wrap up by presentations. And how we are going to communicate, we already have a bunch of examples and scripts and tutorials prepared on GitHub. You will need to register to have a GitHub account to get access to those files. And our communication platform is going to be Slack. So for file exchanges, for like asking questions or I don't know what, we're going to install Slack for talking and writing messages each day. So I try to break down this complex Excel sheet into a more understandable way. I'm not getting into this because I already did. And that's it, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, good morning. I think it's still in the morning. My name is Doyen. I'm an architect, and I also teach architecture at K-Arts University in Seoul. I'll be leading Unit 4 with the Junbom Park under the title of Decompressed City Seoul. Junbom unfortunately cannot join us this morning, but he'll be with us in the afternoon after the unit selection. So before explaining our unit brief, we will briefly go over our previous works and also our interests. I'm running an architectural practice called the 0718 Architects. And we do have immense interest in art, and for that simple reason, we've been working with various art institutions on their exhibitions. So these are the previous exhibitions that we were involved in as an exhibition designer. So we also design buildings for art institutions. This was a proposal for the Thai Art Institution in Thailand. Simple slideshows. And Junbom is a visual artist based in Korea. He works with videos and photographs, and he's been exploring multiple dimensions of class through his work, sometimes through images and sometimes through physical interventions. And he often transforms, the world we live in into something else through this technique of collage. And I will show you a collection of short previews of his work at the end of this presentation. So he transforms and even exaggerates realities. And this work, for example, some of you might have noticed, it's a parliament building in Seoul. So it's not supposed to have any signage on the facade. And this simple act of collage will serve as a primary medium to represent ideas for the final proposals in our unit. So our unit brief is a direct reaction to the theme of this year's visiting school. We'd like to understand the compressed conditions in Seoul through the lens of rituals. And those rituals, and especially traditional ones, have been transformed in relation to the development of the city. And they have manifested themselves through their own spaces. So in our unit, students will be asked to pick one ritual of their own interest. And in this ritual selection, we are very open to a variety of rituals, so including traditional ones and also newly invented modern ones. So this is a Pat funeral home, for example. And those ritual spaces exist in indoor spaces and also even public spaces. And towards the end of our workshop, students will be asked to propose sort of alternative futures of those ritual spaces based on the findings in their own research. And in coming up with the proposals, we do not wish to simply go back to traditional ritual spaces. Instead, we would encourage students to come up with more provocative proposals. So our unit schedule
is largely divided into two phases. So we will start with research, and based on the research, we will work on proposals. In between, we have arranged 2 field trips. One of them is to Songeun, which is an art institution in Seoul. And we will listen to a docent tour of their current show. And on the same day, at the same venue, we will attend this artist talk. And after the mid-review, we will visit MMCA, a museum in Seoul, to see an exhibition as well. And throughout the workshop, we have also organized 2 internal unit seminars to understand different collage techniques from artists and also architects. So we are hoping to learn those techniques and apply those techniques to the final proposals. And the other unit seminar will be led by Junbom, and he will share with us, untold stories behind his art pieces, and especially how they are made, and not only technically, but also theoretically, and the ideas behind those art pieces. And again, we are hoping to, apply these techniques to the final proposal. And these are the expected outcomes of our unit. So in the research phase, we will use conventional mediums to document the Trojan rituals. So text, photographs, and videos, and line drawings. And of course, in the proposal, we will experiment with collages and even collaging videos. So then I would like to end my presentation with this video clip that Junbom has prepared for us. It's a collection of his pieces. He usually works with videos. So you see how he uses collages to transform spaces. It's a very simple technique. So revealing the existing space. And also perhaps you can picture our unit outcomes through those videos. And also in the research phase, we encourage students to visit precedents and document it through videos and photographs so that we have materials to work on the final proposals later on. So ideally, we can, the final proposal will be in a video format. So this work, he transforms and also mixing different scales, transforms the existing space using different scales. And towards the end of this collaging video, he himself becomes one of those audiences. Mhm. And in his video, he's mixing a lot of mediums, sometimes photographs and sometimes physical models. Often they are juxtaposed. This is showing the transformation of the same length over time based on satellite images. And with a similar tactic, it shows the transformation of the same place over time. And this is the very art piece that I was talking about. Yeah, he was like attaching those advertisement boards on the facade of the Parliament building. So the building, which is not supposed to be commercial, becomes something else. And another piece, he took a lot of photographs photographs of alleys that are commonly found in Korea and juxtaposed those photographs. Sorry. So it's quite a lengthy video clip, and I will probably end my presentation here and leaving this video clip on. Thank you.
So we just finished the whole full unit for their unit 2 in Atinda. So they already sent some QR code page each of the table. So it's time to choose which unit best for you. So unfortunately, the lunch will be alive in 12:30. So suddenly we have plenty of time. So we move on to the 6th floor, and then we arrange a space. Then same times we'll arrange your unit selection stuff. So let you know the interview order in maybe hours. So please do selection your unit until 12:30. Yeah, until 20:30. So and then we post on then 1 o'clock, right? And then we will have a a unit interview after the 1, right? Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Or also you might have a question to the unit things, and go straight to the in-person to ask the questions to unit tutors, right? And Jay, and then if you don't have a name tag, Jay. If you don't have any name tag,
Okay, I have, yes.
ask the Jay. Yeah, he might be dealing with your name tag after the lunch, I think. Okay.
Thank you.
So, okay, let's move on to the 6th floor and then the left side or right side? I don't know.